Alrighty. Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Unlock Show. I'm your host, Tracy Wilson. My pleasure to be here with you guys today. Today, I'm going to sort of take a little bit of a detour from my regular schedule where I talk a lot about digital marketing, creating your own business, and actually, I could talk about all sorts of things across business, family, and life. And today's topic, I wanted to go down the path of family. Why the heck, I'm just going to adjust my camera a little bit here. All right, so I want to talk about this particular subject because in our current climate that we have around the world, there are a lot of families that are being, let's call it, prevented from seeing one another. Here in Australia, we've got lockdowns happening all over the place, and therefore it becomes really difficult to get your family together. Now, even though this is a really tough time now, I wanted to talk about some of the fundamental things that I've done, or that John and I have both done, John's my husband, to try and unite our family and to keep our family strong, no matter what the circumstances, no matter how far away we are from one another, no matter what's going on. How do we actually create a really strong and united family with solid foundations so that no matter what happens, that you have the strength of foundation, the strength of unity that enables you to come back and just bounce back from any situation. And we all know that family, can be a challenging thing sometimes. We can love them, sometimes we can find them rather challenging, but nonetheless they are our family. And I'm lucky enough that I come from a very large extended family, and our I suppose our unitedness stems right back to my grandparents, whom I was lucky enough that they had a very large family on my mum's side, which means that I grew up with loads of cousins, loads of aunts and uncles that are extremely close, and that foundation of family has kind of filtered down through my family. So there's a few things that I wanted to talk about in this particular context, because I know that not everybody, has the blessing of enjoying their family. Sometimes it's a little bit challenging and difficult. Sometimes families don't always work out the way that you would love them to, but nonetheless, we're born into these families that you don't really have a choice. You don't get to pick and choose like you do with your friends, although you can choose to uh, unfriend your family and maybe not have so much to do with them, and you can go out and you can create your own family in other ways. But what I'm here to talk about today is just let's call it your biological family, the family that you were born into. How do we actually keep that family strong, and how do you keep them united even throughout tough times? Now, for those of you that have tuned into my show for a while, you'll know a little bit about me. You may have even got yourself a copy of the She-Myth book that a good friend of mine, Vicky Helm, and I wrote, and we released a little bit earlier in the year. And in that book, it tells a little bit about my story. So those of you that have been watching me for a while, you'll know that I was a teen mum, that actually my husband and I were teen parents. We had our children very, very young. I was 16 years old at the time. And and I look back now, and the reason I wanted to talk about this too was because I've got no notes today, guys, so I'm just going to kind of go. I'm just going to let this stream and go wherever it needs to go. But in this last week, we celebrated my eldest son, who I had at 16. We celebrated his 30th birthday. And I'm like, oh my God, I kind of need to even just pinch myself to think that, shit, I've got a 30-year-old. Not only have I got a 30-year-old, I've got a 27-year-old and a 26-year-old, or thereabouts. So anyway, my eldest son, Tyrone, turned 30 this year, this week. And it's kind of really made me think about family and what we did intentionally even when I was 16 years old, and most people would say back then, wow, you're just babies having babies. But regardless of how old somebody is, if you can still instill really good foundations and really good morals and ethics and values into your family, and if you do that right from the get-go, then you have the greatest opportunity to be able to bring little humans up into the world and help them become the best versions of themselves and the best version of humans that you possibly can, to enable them to contribute well into society. So even though John and I were really, really young, and we didn't really know, we didn't have any handbook. Nobody gave me a book that you even get today that said, this is how how you parent well, this is what you do. And of course, we've made mistakes along the way. We look to our, I'm going to say, to our elders, to our parents, to our grandparents, to try and take the lead from them as to what is the right thing to do and the way in which you bring your children up. And I'm so grateful to say that I had some really awesome role models around both John and I, from our grandparents, great grandparents, even, down to our parents and aunts and uncles, etc., etc. And in my culture, we talk about that it takes a community to raise a child. So I can certainly not take the entire credit. John and I can't take the entire credit for the way in which our children have grown up, because it has absolutely taken a community to do that. And I've got many, many people to thank along the journey of life that we had, that stepped up, helped look after our children when I wanted to go to work, look after them when we had different things on. So I'm very, very grateful for that, and I want to acknowledge all of them now, and they know who they are. Some of them, in particular, have often looked after our kids when they were little. Needless to say, I wanted to talk about the way in which John and I sort of intentionally went about doing things. So way back when we had the kids, we always knew that John was a pretty strict dad. He would, we would be very strict on what the kids would do, and strict in a way that we would have expectations of them in the way in which they would be respectful, they would use their manners, they would be loving kind of, the kind of kids, that they would stick together. So I've got 3 boys, and the one thing we always said to them, I can remember saying this over and over and over again to them, is that no matter what, you boys have to look after one another. It doesn't matter what goes on in this world, you just have to make sure that you are always there for each other. You are, great friends, and you also need to make sure that, if one person's falling, you got to help lift them up and get them back, help to get them back on their feet. And even though the kids have had their moments, they're few and far between. In the main, they get on really, really good, and they always do that. And boy, oh boy, if anyone was to, let's say, do wrong by one of the boys, boy, the other 2 would be there in an absolute flash. But I can always remember that people would say to me, gosh, John's just got those kids like in a line, like lined up, ready to go. They're respectful, they do the right thing, and he would just have to give them the look. He never had to raise his hand at them, he never had to smack them or anything like that. He didn't very rarely even raised his voice. He just had to give the kids the look, and they would be like, step into line. Or he would have this thing where he'd stomp his foot, and they would just, go and do what they needed to do, because they had, we instilled respect into them. Even if we were going to visit somebody's house, we would have a conversation with them whilst in the car about the way in which we behave when we go visiting, or when we're out and about. And they would always, be very well behaved. So the things that we instilled into the kids came from a point of view of intention, and it didn't come from, we wanted our children to be well behaved because we wanted people to say, hey, they were well behaved. It actually came from a place of, we wanted to build a really strong and united family, right? I wanted to make sure that our kids that they wanted to be around us. So when they grew up and they became adults, that we wanted to continue to be be part of their life. We wanted them to be around us. We wanted them to enjoy being with us, because we knew that if you can do that and you can create these really solid foundations where your kids want to keep coming back, they enjoy being around you, then what happens is they then pass those same kind of values, the core values, the strengths that we have, down to the next generations. And I can now start seeing Tyrone, who's my eldest son, who's the one who turned 30 this year. He's the only one with children at this point in time, but I can see him doing that with his kids too, really imparting those real strong family values that keep your family strong and united regardless of what the times are. So that's the first thing I wanted to talk about, the intention that you have, the intention of not only, and I talk about this from a business perspective too. So everything we do from a business perspective or family or life comes from a perspective of, what is my intention? Where am I going? And what is it that I'm trying to create? And when you can start from that point of view, it helps you to create almost like this, in a lot of cases, the unwritten roadmap of where you are going and what you are creating in your life and bringing to fruition, rather than not really thinking about those and meandering through life, hoping and praying that everything just works out. I can always tell you, when I start with something that has a level of intention to it, it always works out. All right. And you don't need to be thinking about it over and over and over again. Actually, it's the opposite. You create the intention. It might be written, it may be unwritten, but then you just allow it to happen. Once you've created that intention, things do just start happening. But without that intention, you're kind of meandering along through life, just hoping like heck that things work out well. The other piece to this is, because I've come from a family that is very, very large. So my mum was one of 11, and my dad's side, he's only got one brother, so we're a small family on that side. But then also on John's side of the family, his dad is one of 18. So we come from really big families, and those families have both sides of where we've got the 11 and where we've got the 18 are very strong, united families. They have a lot to do with one another. Which brings me to this next part, because it's been very easy, and easy is not probably the right word, but it's been easier to bring your family together in years gone past. We are now in a situation where that is not always possible. So now most of my family, or a lot of my family, is still back in New Zealand. We live in Australia. The ability or the opportunity for us to be able to travel internationally is just no longer there. So in the past, we've been very much thinking about, how do we continue to unite our family? How do we continue to keep the family strong? And a lot of the way that we did that was through gatherings, bringing families together on a regular basis. Now, in my family, with my immediate kids, one of the things, again, that we've done intentionally is we have Sundays are family day. We have family dinner. I'm going to say 90% of the time we have it every single week on a Sunday. The odd occasion we don't do it, but we would catch up at another day of the week. So intentionally, we have gone out and created things, opportunities for us to bring our family together on the regular, because you know the saying, families that play together stay together. So we know that if we can do that on a regular basis, our family, my immediate family and my sister's family, we come together on a regular basis for family dinners on a Sunday. And that enables us to bring all the kids together. We sit around a table, we cook together, we eat together, we share laughter, we love one another, and we just enjoy being in each other's company. Now, that is just one way that we've created the cohesiveness and the unitedness within our family structure. The other things that we do is that we make sure that we play together. So we go out and we do fun things together, whether it be camping or inexpensive things that don't have to cost a lot of money, but you go out and you start creating memories, things that grandchildren will remember, nights that the kids will remember, that they can reminisce about for years to come. So that's my immediate family and some of the things that we do. And I'd love to hear, like, from you guys that are watching now, what are some of the things that you do in your family that help to keep your family strong and united, so that no matter whether it's tough times, good times, bad times, ugly times, you can always get things back on an even keel, and that you keep your family united. What are some of the things that you guys do? Let me know in the comments section, because I would love to know. And I'm in the process. I'm going to let you guys know about a little side project that is very dear to my heart, that I'm doing something with my brother-in-law in the very, very near future. So then we come to this extended family. Why is the extended family so important to me? And I'm talking about, because I've got such a big family. I have a very big extended family. But even if you don't, what can you do to make sure that the extension of your family also remains connected and united? And on one side of my family, so my dad's side, I only have one uncle, which has two children. So I always make sure that I stay in contact with them. And over the years, as I've got a little bit older, my curiosity for sort of understanding where we come from, my family history, etc., continues to get the better of me. And that sent me on a bit of a pathway to trying to continue to build this strength and unite my family and understand the history and where I've come from. So that's led me back to England, which I've then found that I have this massive extended family in England. Even though my dad has only got one brother, I have a huge number of second cousins, aunts and uncles that are also in England and that I never even knew existed. So that's been kind of fun and cool. One of the things that actually led me on that path was a couple of years back, when my husband's family was wanting to get together, because we want to do that on a regular basis. Huge family. We want to make sure that not only my generation, but the next generation and the next generation thereafter, we know where we come from. We maintain some level of connection to our culture, and we're able to maintain our native language, or parts of that. And I'm going to be the first to say that when I grew up, I didn't know a lot about my native language, being a New Zealand Māori. Just wasn't brought up that way. Sort of learnt it a little bit, bits and pieces in school. But as I've got a little bit older, I've become more and more interested in learning. Don't know a lot yet, but I'm interested in learning. And throughout the last few years, we have family reunions on the regular. So John's family has these family reunions that they used to do religiously every probably 4 or 5 years. They would get together and have this huge family reunion, bring everybody together and just celebrate and enjoy one another's company, and obviously create some really good memories. Back in 2019 was the last Wilson family reunion that we had, and it was freaking awesome and amazing. And I always love going to them. And I was lucky enough, being one of the in-laws, to be on the organising committee. And at the time, we were, because of this, the Wilson family has ended up being all over the world. We've got people everywhere. We were trying to figure out, how do we communicate with everybody, and how do we make sure that we can get as many people as we possibly can back to this family reunion. And given my experience in what I do for a living, which is I help people create an income and a life using the online world and using digital services. So it led me to think about, well, gosh, if I've got these skills, how can I use the skills that I have to help improve how we communicate and how we can bring all of our family members together? And that started me out on a bit of a passion project of pulling some digital processes together to help us do exactly that. And what it did for the Wilson family is it meant that the organizing process was was a lot simpler, a lot more streamlined, but it also enabled us to gather a whole lot more information and about our family. So we were able to gather, the births, who are the new babies that had been born into the family. How can we gather the information and learn a lot more about one another? And when we went to the family reunion, I started recording and started asking questions and interviewing all of our, let's call it elders, so that I could then gather all of that information and be able to put it inside of a digital portal, which would mean that I could continue to unite our family regardless of where people were. So it meant that even though people weren't in New Zealand, they were here in Australia or in the UK or in the US, they were still able to learn and participate in our family culture, in our family, recipes, information, etc., etc. They could learn about our family history in a way that was that meant that they were able to do it 24/7 if they wanted to. They literally logged into what we now call our family legacy center, and they could learn about their grandparents, their great grandparents, and anything else that we decided we would put inside of this particular portal. Once I did that for my husband's family, that then I was then talking about it with my family, and they were like, "Oh my God, I want one of those. Will you create one of those for my family?" That then led me to start thinking about, gosh, if that would be useful for my husband's family and my own family, perhaps that would be really useful for other families too, in the sense of being able to create a website. And these are some of the things that we're now doing with our family. We have family merchandise. Actually should have worn our family t-shirt, but we have our own logo and our t-shirts that we wear with pride, regardless of whether or not we're at a family event. We wear them when we're walking down the street because we're proud of who we are and where we've come from. So we've very much created a an environment where we're proud to be part of our family. We were proud to be associated with one another. And when you start to instill those kind of values, that level of pride, that level of respect, the level of love, that then not only happens within your family community, those people then start to do that with society, with other people that they know. So in this current climate, where unfortunately people are being divided through some of the things that are going on, and I don't need to talk about them, it's just that's what's happening. It's really started to get me thinking about, what can I do? How can I help bring love, laughter, respect, values back into society? And it's really led me back down the path of this project that I call Project Unite Us, right? So it's Project Unite Us. How can I continue to work on that project and enable other families to utilize the same tools that I've created and the same systems that I've created for my family, that would then enable them to stay connected, build strong ties, stay united with their family, regardless of distance, regardless of the dividedness that's happening within the world. How can we do that? And it really has dawned on me that it starts with family, and it starts with just one person in that family who steps up to be what I call the legacy builder, the person who is. And it gives me goosebumps when I think about this, because when I did all the research, and I'm digressing a little bit here, but it is definitely about family. When I did all the research and I was starting to think about, how could I create a tool, a system, a process that can unite families. And this was a couple of years ago, after we had our family reunion, and it's sort of been sitting on the sideline. And I think now is the right time to start talking about it and to resurrect that project, because I actually created the entire project with my husband and my three boys and their partners for exactly the same reason. There was an intention with it, and the intention was to bring our family together and work on a project that could continue to unite us. And that project has now spilled over into helping other families continue to build strong foundations and help them also to be united. So what is it and now my brother-in-law and my sister and their kids are all involved in it too, which is pretty cool. So this process of what's going on now in terms of the dividedness within the world, I really feel like this is the right time to resurrect the Project Unite Us project and create that mission and create some momentum about bringing families back together. Because like I said, once you do that and you can create those strong bonds, connections, etc., that then spills over into society, which goodness me, we need right now. We need that more than ever. It's just for people to be respectful, to love one another, to be mindful that everybody has has choices, that everybody is different, and to embrace everybody's uniqueness and their differentness. We need that in the world. We don't want to be all the same, all following one agenda, so to speak. The other thing I was going to mention was that when I started doing the research on families, and what we're seeing, or what we've seen in the past, is that family migration happens. What do I mean by that? What I mean is that families grow up, they start to migrate to other countries, they marry into different cultures, so on and so forth, just like I have with my family. When, 16 years ago, we decided that we would migrate from New Zealand and come to Australia. What I've seen once I started to do this research was that as as that migration starts, it happens with one, right? So it was happened with John and I. If we don't continue to share our family culture and our family history, after just 3 generations, that family history and that family culture gets lost. It gets so diluted that the children 3 generations down no longer see themselves as being part of that culture. So, for example, I want my grandchildren to continue to say that I'm very proud to have Maori blood running through my veins. I want them to say that. I want them to be proud of their Filipino heritage, which their mother is from. I want them to be proud that they have connections and ties back to England. I want them to know and understand that they're also Australian. But if we don't continue to share that history and share that information, after just 3 generations, it is gone. The stories, the history, the legacies of what you are doing right now, once you're gone off this earth, 3 generations down the track, unfortunately, you will be forgotten. Not because they want to forget you, just because there is no literature, there's no presence of you anymore on this earth. So one of the things that I wanted to make sure I did was to help families create a place, a portal, a legacy builder that would enable them to share their information, share their great stories, share their history, their culture, the stories of their ancestors, understanding and knowing where they've come from, so that they feel proud of who they are and where they come from, and that they can continue to be proud of that, and that level of pride continues to be disseminated down into the next generation and the next generation and the next generation. And by doing that, my hope is that we continue to birth, grow, nurture really, really good human beings into this world. So anyway, let me tell you a little bit about this, about what I'm up to. So in the next couple of weeks, my brother-in-law and I are going to be doing our very first, we're going to do a little workshop, and the workshop is going to teach families how they can use technology of today to be able to create their own family legacy builder, to keep their family strong and keep their family united, regardless of distance, regardless of where they are in the world, regardless of what's going on. I want to be able to show families how they do that, because there will come a day, and let's hope that that day comes really, really soon, where we are going to be able to travel without fear, without ridicule, that we'll be able to do that, and we will be able to bring our families together and reunite them in the flesh, very, very soon. But in the interim, we want to create a way that we can share the stories, that we can share what's going on with one another, and we can do it in a really easy way through using technology to do it. So if you are interested in learning how to do this, it's a project is called Project Unite Us. I'm going to pop into this thread in the comment section in a day or two, just a link that you can go to if you would like to come to a workshop that we're going to be running. It's going to be $27 for you to come. You'll learn about how to do it. You'll learn the systems, the processes that we use, and then you too will be able to create your own family legacy center and even your own family website so that you can continue to unite your family. You can share your stories, you can share your history, you can even share things like we do with our family trust. You can share photographs, videos, so on and so forth in a really awesome way. And we're going to show you exactly how to do that. So anyway, that being said, today I wanted to I'm going to give a shout out to my son Tyrone. Happy birthday for a couple of days ago. Actually, the 13th was his birthday, which happens to be my lucky number. Just a little side tidbit for you. 13 is a lucky number for me, and I wanted to share some of the things that we do with our family to keep us strong. And I'm just seeing that a couple of people are here, a few of you guys are here today, you're watching. Someone's saying here that my sister started a team that walks a marathon fundraiser to combat childhood cancer. We make it an annual event and we play for 2 or 3 days. I love that. That is such a cool thing to do. So just think about all the different things that you can do. What are some activities that you could start doing with your family, on the regular? Make it a tradition. Start creating traditions that are really awesome that you can be doing on a regular basis, whether it's just a simple get to potluck dinner every Sunday night, or whether it's doing something like Robin is saying here, where her and her sister walk a marathon to combat childhood cancer. Like, whatever it is, let us know what it is that you're going to do to keep your family united and strong so that you can weather any storm from here on in, and you can keep your family ties, your family traditions, your family culture alive for generations and generations to come. All right, guys, I'm going to love you and leave you and say thank you very much for watching today. I'm extremely proud of my family and where I come from, and I know that lots of you guys are too. I would love to hear what you guys are doing to keep your family united and strong. Comment to me in the comment section, and I'll make sure that those sorts of things get shared. I can share them inside of our Project Unite Us group so that other families can pick up on this and they can start doing it too. Let's start a movement of uniting families instead of dividing them. All right, guys, let's unlock that process right now. I'll see you guys again soon. I'll be back again with another episode of Unlock next week. I will have a guest with me next week. We'll be back onto a business topic, but I will also be sure to share with you where you can find out more about Project Unite Us. Go and follow me on my personal Facebook page, and I'll share more about that in the coming days, and you'll be able to join the workshop that is coming up very, very shortly. That being said, have a fantastic week. I hope you guys are all well, and that you are out there and you're enjoying life no matter what's going on, and I'll see you guys again for another episode of Unlocked next week. Thanks very much, and bye for now.